Hey, what's going on, guys? Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. If you guys could subscribe, that'd mean a lot to me. You guys could also watch the Tobin and Leroy show weekdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And appreciate everybody who tuned in today on a double victory Monday. That was swell. And, hopefully you'll dive into some more silly sauce. Actual Damian Lillard report today from Shams Bomb. Shams Charania was on The Rally on Bally Sports and was talking about a couple of things. He made a couple of points. We'll break both of them up here, but this was the report that was on Bally's, and you guys can take a little listen. We'll all take a listen together and dive into this from Shams.
Expect Portland and Miami to re-engage before the start of training camps here coming up in the next 2.5 weeks. And really at this point, I'm told the only two training camps that Damian Lillard would report to, in theory, Portland and Miami. So if a team like Toronto, for instance, were to trade for Damian Lillard, I do not believe Lillard would even report. I believe that standing trade request would still be there if he were to be traded to a team like Toronto or anyone else really that wants to take a chance at this situation. And so I think teams around the league, ever since this trade request in early July, they've understood a guy like Damian Lillard at the age of 33 with $216 million left on his deal over the next 4 seasons, him joining their program and wanting a trade immediately is incredibly unideal. And so you look at this situation, the one thing you keep coming back to is Miami and Portland. Are they able to get a deal done or not? And the league has really been on pause since early July with a lot of the major moves. Everyone's been waiting on this, and we're still waiting to see what exactly happens with Damian Lillard, Portland, and potentially Miami.
So there you go. That was Shams Charania today on Bally Sports on The Rally. And there's a couple of things that are of interest here. One is Shams saying that he does believe that trade talks are going to pick up before training camp, which probably is the more thing of substance in all this. That has been a thing that's been very popular. So Anthony Chang's been reporting this as well from the Miami Herald, that it is believed that they will re-engage sometime, soon. Media day for the Miami Heat is going to be on October 2nd, which means training camp is going to be the 3rd, wherever it may be. I don't even know where it's going to be. It could be at FAU. It could be at Kaiser. It could be in the Bahamas. Who knows where the Miami Heat are holding training camp? I don't believe they've announced that yet. And then I believe the week after that, I think Monday, the 9th, I think is their inter-squad scrimmage, I believe. I'm not quite sure, guys. I think we might be broadcasting that on 560. I'll get the deets on that. But the point is, you guys get the real point of it, is that we're talking 3 weeks. All right. So it's like 4 weeks. We'll count this week. 1, 2. We got 1, 2, 3 weeks basically until camp gets going, right? 3 weeks until we have this situation where Damian Lillard is going to show up to Blazers camp and I guess make a stink with the media. The thing that was the other part of this where Shams is basically saying the only teams he's told in theory that he would report to are Portland and Miami. Interesting that he goes in theory because, obviously Damian Lillard and his team, and I don't mean the Blazers, I mean his agency, has been kind of warned about the whole making a stink and only playing for one team and all that. So I think that it felt a little tiptoey by Shams, if I could if I could describe it in any way, the way that he's kind of going about that, where he's like, yeah, in theory, the only teams that he would, if a team decided to get froggy, if a team like Toronto decided that they wanted to go in and make some things happen with Damian Lillard, then just so you know, I don't think that he's going to report. I think that it's kind of just it's a weird detail for Damian Lillard to throw out there. Now, there has been a report today from, I believe, Aaron Frentis of the Oregonian, who has been he's a Blazers reporter, but has been very pro Damian Lillard on all of this. And he is reporting that he believes, according to NBA sources, Damian Lillard would go wherever traded to, despite the report. But, of course, the idea that somebody would want to trade for a guy who doesn't want to be in your team with the age that he's at, the money that he makes. As the reporting has been, there's not a big market out there for Damian Lillard, which is kind of the crux of all of this, right? I don't want to keep hammering the same things over and over. The question that is going to be interesting with all of this really is when Miami and Portland engage, what does that turn into? Does this get to Joe Cronin asking for Miami's best and final offer and Miami really giving the kitchen sink to make it happen, which would be like, let's say Jaquez Jovic, Tyler Hero being swung somewhere for picks, what amount of picks gets it done for him? Or does Miami, which is in this position that seems of strength right now, do they say, no, you take one of our young guys and a couple picks and you'll like it? And that's going to be the interesting thing here. That's the big standoff, because the fact that if we're to believe Joe Cronin has not engaged with the Miami Heat and just hopes that Alakazam, a market, was going to appear, it doesn't appear it's going to appear to anybody. There's no Celtics. The Sixers have their own damn issues with the whole James Harden thing, quite frankly. And then you're kind of struggling to look around and seeing like, well, where else is the fit for Damian Lillard? What is I know that the whole folks at the Ringer, who I'm surprised haven't already had 9 articles talking about this Shams article and are writing up, well, why doesn't a player honor his contract? Why doesn't a player, he's got 4 years left. Why do they have to listen to him? There's not these circumstances of, oh, he's an icon, you do right by him, he's been this. Most players do get to go and dictate where they want to be, and also there's not that big a market for him. And also maybe getting Nikola Jovic and picks, or Jaime Jaquez and picks, or getting Tyler Hero, and maybe that actually is a pretty good deal when you actually look around the rest of the league and see what there is. Especially when you drafted his replacement, call us all crazy, but I do think that it is interesting that Damian Lillard, and this kind of comes out. It was an interesting day with the NBA too, because it was like the NBA strangely had a lot of stuff leaked today that was very odd. And I found it almost strange that was like, why does the NBA have all this stuff coming out about we're mandating stars play? It's almost like they were trying to get back into the game today of news, which seems silly. I mean, even as a radio host myself, who you guys know, I love the Miami Heat. Football Mondays, baby. It's a hard cookie to crack. Unless Damian Lillard were to get traded to the Miami Heat, we're talking Dolphins. We're talking Hurricanes. Hell, I think I mentioned the Marlins a couple more times than I did Nikola Jovic crying for Team Serbia. Just is what it is. And so it was kind of odd that the NBA just breathed some life into there's this report and then there's this report. And then I nearly had a heart attack at one point. I still have Woj on notifications. And he said the Portland Trailblazers, I was doing the show. And so I had my phone. It was kind of I kind of eyeballed, and I just saw from the notifications. I look at Leroy, but I have my phone down there, and I just saw the Woj, the Portland Trailblazers, and I nearly had a heart attack. I thought, it's happening. It was a real long 9 seconds for old Tobes here. It really was. So I am curious, is the NBA really starting to pick up steam? This theory that, hey, it's after Labor Day, camp's about 3 weeks away. Let's, button some stuff up here and let's get this thing done. When do they actually sit down? It's a Tuesday, long weekends, relaxing. Does Joe Cronin actually walk into the office and get Andy Ellisberg up on a Zoom call? I don't know, but it was interesting, the idea. But I think probably the most important thing, I don't know how much I believe Damian Lillard wouldn't report to another team other than Miami, but it's interesting that detail's just kind of put into the ether from one of the biggest NBA reporters out there. I mean, like, look, certainly Woj is taking a beating from Heat fans for carrying water for Joe Cronin. This feels very like, hey, I'm putting, like, Damian Lillard's people are putting this into the ether. It feels very much like that. But I think probably the biggest thing of substance is just expect Portland and Miami to re-engage before the starting training camp here in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. So we'll see. I mean, maybe this is actually like the home stretch of it's on and some racing will really happen and they'll actually get to a meeting room and try and make a deal. Or we're going to have a really, really weird opening week of camp.